Osmolarity, tonicity.
It's interesting.
Okay.
Fascinating.
I understand the diffusion to like the side where there's
So do you understand osmosis?
as far
Like, what is osmosis?
I don't know if I can give you a definition. If there's a list
How about
of definitions, I could probably get it.
how about if I have you exercise the principle? Okay. Semi-permeable membrane. Okay. I'm gonna pour salt, NaCl, into this side. What's gonna happen?
Water's gonna go from the left side to the right side.
Cool.
That's
Okay.
osmolarity.
Yeah.
Osmosis.
Osmosis, not osmolarity.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So osmosis is going to be, there's two ways of thinking about it. Either water flowing from where there's a low concentration of particles to a high concentration, or the other way is usually more confusing for people. It's water flowing down its concentration gradient, because there's less water over here because there's other particles.
Right.
But yeah, you understand
The first one.
the principle.
Right.
Okay.
See, if they because on the practice questions, they were throwing like glucose in there with salt and like chloride, and that's gonna throw me off. But
Yeah.
if it was just salt and water, then
Yeah.
that's
So that's what I need to make sure that you got those foundations,
I got that,
because
yeah.
sometimes people don't understand it, and it's because they don't understand what osmosis is.
right. No, yeah, I got that part.
Okay. So what is the definition of osmolarity? Do you know?
The amount of salt in the water, or the amount of a particle in the water.
Okay. So that's the closest definition that most people know. The number of particles in water.
Right.
Technically, it's the number of osmoles.
Okay.
The only reason where that comes into play is for ions like NaCl
Mhm.
or CaCl2. So with NaCl in water, you know that separates into Na
Right.
plus and Cl minus.
Mhm.
So that is
2 moles.
So 1 mole of this is 2
Molarity.
osmoles.
Osmoles. That's
Okay.
right.
So the technical definition of osmolarity is the number of osmoles per liter of water, and it's like, well, that doesn't help me at all.
Yeah,
Unless I
we
know
did
what
this
the-
in Chem 101, so I kind of remember it.
Okay, cool. Okay, and so if I did 1 mole of glucose, then it would be 1 osmole.
Right, because glucose doesn't dissociate.
Mhm.
Or, yeah, dissolves,
It
but doesn't
doesn't- Yeah,
dissociate.
it dissolves but doesn't
So it
dissociate.
stays 1 mole. 1 osmole.
Yeah,
Alright.
okay. So percent solution is different from like 1 mole to osmoles, okay? Just so you know. What is the definition of tonicity, as you understand it?
This part where I'm not sure. Is it the, I'm not gonna guess.
Just go for it, guess it.
Tonicity, would it be the amount of water that flows from low concentration to high concentration? Or am I way off?
No, but I think you understand some of the ideas behind it. You're not way off.
Okay.
Tonicity, best described, is going to be what is the tendency of the cell. Is the tendency of the cell going to a cell?
Hypotonic.
Yeah, going to be for it to expand, crenate, or shrink,
Right.
or stay the same. So that's going to be what's going to happen. What's the end result for the cell? Okay. The one thing that gets confusing on tonicity is you have to take into account penetrating versus non-penetrating particles. Okay.
Is that like the
Dextrose?
dextrose and the, okay, that's what I wanted.
Okay. So sometimes they'll use glucose. Usually most teachers will use dextrose as an example for penetrating particle. Okay. So here's a cell in a solution, okay? If I put dextrose into this water, okay,
Yeah.
what happens is it diffuses because it is permeable to the cell membrane. So if I put 1 mole of dextrose in here, more percent. If this was a 5% solution of dextrose, you could imagine it splitting into 2.5 in here and 2.5 in here. Okay? So it diffuses. Because it diffuses, there's no osmosis. Because osmosis can only occur when it's a semi-permeable membrane, meaning it's not letting something in.
Okay.
Like the NaCl, for example. Because it doesn't let the NaCl in, it goes over there.
All right.
Okay?
So that cell would be permeable or non-permeable? What'd you say it was? Or semi?
So penetrating.
Oh, there. Okay.
So the particle penetrates, so it's permeable to that particle.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay. So, I'm trying to think of more conceptual things first. The way I look at it is picture the water molecules as girls, okay? And other particles as guys, okay? So if I said there was, so dextrose, okay? We've got a bunch of dextrose out here.
Okay.
We've got water everywhere, okay? But since there's more dextrose out here, where is it going to go? It's going to diffuse into the cell because it can go cross,
All right.
okay?
Because it's penetrating particle.
Because it's a penetrating particle,
All right.
okay? And because it can cross, it's like the boys. So the boys are going to go wherever there's more girls, so they're going to spread out and be everywhere,
Right.
okay? But if we put something in like NaCl, okay, these are boys, but they're kind of a little more shy, okay? So they're not the manly men. They're not going and seeking the girl, okay?
Right.
So they're not going to be able to penetrate, okay? They're non-penetrating particles. They can't go in. So in the worst case scenario that this happens, where are the girls going to go because the guys aren't coming in? The
Right.
girls are going to come out.
Right.
So osmosis
And then
occurs.
the cell prenate, right?
Yeah. Okay.
That's awesome.
Okay.
So the cell, if it's dextrose, if it's a penetrating particle, then it would be a hypertonic or hypotonic solution? Or does that have anything to do with it?
So if it can penetrate, it won't do anything to the tonicity
Okay.
because the water won't. The girls don't need to move.
Right.
If the guys are forward enough, the girls don't have to move at all. The guys will come to them.
Okay.
But if the guys are pansies, then the girls have to go to them.
So the cell will swell if it's a penetrating particle? Or no?
Could, yes.
It could swell.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably. If there's only penetrating particles.
Okay.
Because then it would be like there was water.
Right.
Hypotonic, right?
Yeah. Okay.